The massive Artaxian warship Dominion emerged from hyperspace at the edge of the Sol system, its crystalline hull gleaming in the distant sunlight. Grand Marshal Vex Terra stood on the command deck, her iridescent scales rippling with anticipation as she gazed at the blue-green jewel of Earth through the ship's quantum viewport. "Status report," she commanded, her voice carrying the harmonics typical of her species' ruling caste. "Scans indicate minimal defensive presence," Grand Marshal reported her tactical officer. "Their orbital platforms appear abandoned. Ground-based defenses are offline. No significant fleet formations detected." Vex Terra's inner eyelids narrowed. The humans' response to their impending arrival had been peculiar. Their long-range sensors had detected a massive exodus from Earth's orbital habitats and defense stations over the past week. The few human ships they'd observed had been civilian vessels, fleeing deeper into the solar system. "They abandoned their homeworld so easily," she mused. "These humans were supposed to be tenacious defenders. Perhaps they recognized the futility of resistance," Grand Marshal suggested First Speaker Ixel, her chief diplomatic advisor. "Our fleet's reputation precedes us." The Artaxian invasion force was indeed impressive. Over 300 capital ships and their support vessels, the largest fleet assembled in recent memory. They had expected the humans to mount a fierce defense of their homeworld. Instead, they found only empty space and automated warning beacons. "Begin deployment pattern Sigma," Vex Terra ordered. "Maintain full combat readiness." Something about this feels wrong. As her fleet moved into position around Earth's orbital lanes, more detailed scans confirmed their initial readings. The orbital defense platforms, formidable installations that had guarded Earth for decades, were completely powered down. Auxiliary craft moved in to investigate several of the larger stations. "Grand Marshal, boarding teams report the stations are intact but deserted," the tactical officer announced. "No signs of battle damage. They simply left." Vex Terra's scales shifted to a deeper shade of blue, a sign of deep thought among her kind. In all her years of conquest, she had never encountered a species that would abandon their homeworld without a fight. The humans had been expanding rapidly, establishing colonies throughout their system. Their technology was advancing at an alarming rate. That's why the Artaxian hierarchy had decided to crush them now, before they became a true threat. "Launch surveillance drones," she commanded. "I want eyes on every approach vector, and get me a direct feed from the surface." The holographic displays came alive with images from Earth. The great cities appeared largely evacuated, with only minimal civilian activity. Automated systems continued to function, but there was an eerie emptiness to the scenes. "First Speaker, your analysis." Ixel stepped forward, his ceremonial robes shimmering. "The humans are known for their unpredictability, Grand Marshal. Perhaps they have withdrawn to their outer colonies, choosing to sacrifice their homeworld rather than their population." "No," Vex Terra said firmly. "No species abandons their cradle without." Her words were cut off by a sudden alarm. The tactical display erupted with new contacts, hundreds of them, materializing simultaneously throughout her fleet formation. "Impossible," the tactical officer screamed. "Ships decloaking everywhere. We're surrounded." Where there had been empty space moments before, now hung the sleek forms of human warships. Their hulls seemed to ripple with a strange energy field as they shed their quantum camouflage. They had been there the entire time, waiting. All ships, battle stations. Vex Terra roared, but it was too late. The human vessels opened fire in perfect synchronization. Beams of coherent energy sliced through the unprepared Artaxian ships. Their advanced shields, calibrated for known human weapons, offered little protection against this new technology. This was a trap, Vex Terra realized, watching as her mighty fleet was torn apart by an enemy they had grievously underestimated. They wanted us to think them weak, to come in force. A new hologram appeared on her command deck, a human figure wearing what appeared to be a military uniform. The human smiled, and Vexterra felt a chill run down her spine. Grand Marshal Vexterra, the human said, speaking perfect Artaxian. I am Admiral Sarah Chen of the Earth Defense Force. I believe it's time we discussed the terms of your surrender. As her ship shuddered under another barrage, Vexterra understood the true depth of their miscalculation. The humans hadn't abandoned their orbital defenses. They had evolved beyond them. They hadn't fled in fear. They had set the stage for an ambush. And now, the mighty Artaxian fleet was paying the price for their arrogance. The battle that would become known as the Sol Deception had begun, and with it, humanity's emergence as a power that could no longer be ignored. 6 months earlier, Dr. Elena Santos stood before the assembled military leadership in the underground facility beneath the Atacama Desert, her heart racing with equal parts excitement and trepidation. The holographic display behind her showed the schematics of what could be humanity's greatest technological achievement, or their most desperate gamble. Project Phantom is ready for full-scale implementation, she announced, her voice steady despite the weight of the moment. The quantum cloaking field has passed all trials. We can now effectively render our entire fleet invisible, not just to sight, but to all known forms of detection. General Marcus Chen, father of the future Admiral Sarah Chen, leaned forward in his chair. And you're certain the Artaxians won't be able to detect the energy signature? The beauty of the system lies in its simplicity, Elena explained, manipulating the hologram to show the underlying physics. We're not bending light around our ships or absorbing sensor signals. We're shifting them ever so slightly out of phase with normal spacetime. To any observer, our ships simply aren't there. The implications weren't lost on anyone in the room. Intelligence had been warning of an impending Artaxian invasion for months. The crystalline-hulled aliens had been systematically expanding their territory, crushing any civilization they deemed a potential threat. Earth was next on their list. How quickly can we outfit the fleet? Asked Admiral Rodriguez, his weathered face illuminated by the holographic glow. That's the other breakthrough, Elena replied, unable to suppress a small smile. We've managed to miniaturize the field generators. A single facility can produce enough units for the entire fleet in under 4 months. The room erupted in murmured conversations. This changed everything. The original defensive strategy had called for a conventional space battle, one that simulation showed Earth would likely lose, even with their recent technological advances. But now, we give them exactly what they expect, General Chen said slowly, a plan forming in his mind. A weak, frightened species, abandoning their defenses at the first sign of invasion. Meanwhile, our real fleet will be hiding in plain sight. The next months were a blur of activity. Deep within asteroid bases and hidden lunar facilities, Earth's ships were retrofitted with the quantum cloaking technology. Crews trained relentlessly in the art of synchronized combat maneuvers while maintaining perfect radio silence. The success of their plan would depend on split-second timing and flawless coordination. Captain Michael Okonjo stood on the bridge of the EDF Spectre, watching as his crew ran through another simulation. The quantum cloak hummed silently, its energy signature masked by the background radiation of space. His ship was one of hundreds now hidden throughout the solar system, waiting. "Helm, adjust position by 3 degrees, he ordered. "We need to maintain perfect formation, even when invisible." The challenges of commanding a cloaked fleet were unprecedented. Traditional navigation aids were useless. Communication had to be kept to an absolute minimum. Every ship had to know its exact position relative to every other ship, or the carefully choreographed trap would fail. Another contact coming through the Kuiper belt, his sensor officer reported. Matches known Artaxian scout profiles. The aliens were probing Earth's defenses, trying to gauge their military readiness. What they saw was exactly what humanity wanted them to see, a civilization in panic, evacuating their orbital habitats and powering down their defense platforms. In her lab, Elena worked tirelessly to refine the cloaking technology. Each improvement, each optimization could mean the difference between victory and annihilation. She knew the Artaxians' reputation for technological superiority. Earth would have only one chance to surprise them. Dr. Santos, her AI assistant, chimed. General Chen is requesting an update on the fleet's stealth metrics. Elena studied the latest test results. The numbers were better than she'd dared hope. Tell him we're exceeding all operational parameters. The fleet will be ready. As the days counted down, tension mounted throughout Earth's hidden military installations. The civilian evacuation provided perfect cover for their preparations. Every retreating transport ship, every powered-down defense platform added to the illusion of weakness. Admiral Rodriguez stood in the Lunar Command Center, watching the real-time display of Earth's true military disposition. Hundreds of ships, totally invisible, arranged in a complex three-dimensional web designed to ensnare the coming invasion fleet. The Artaxians think they're hunting us, he mused to his staff. They don't realize they're walking into a trap centuries in the making. Humanity has always been underestimated. It's time to show them their mistake. The waiting was the hardest part. Every crew member aboard every cloaked ship knew that the slightest error could reveal their presence. They watched through passive sensors as the Artaxian fleet gathered at the edge of the solar system, growing larger by the day. Captain Okanjo received the final deployment orders with a mix of anticipation and solemn determination. The Spectre and her sister ships moved silently into their assigned positions, forming an invisible noose around Earth's orbit. This is it, he told his crew. Everything we've trained for. When the signal comes, we show the galaxy that humanity will not go quietly into the night. The trap was set. Now they just had to wait for the Artaxians to spring it. The command center beneath the lunar surface hummed with controlled tension as Admiral Sarah Chen watched the Artaxian fleet fall perfectly into position. Years of preparation had led to this moment. The enemy ships, arranged in their standard assault formation, had no idea they were surrounded on all sides by Earth's cloaked vessels. All ships, execute Protocol Avalanche, she transmitted through the quantum-encrypted network. To cloak on my mark. Captain Okanjo's fingers tightened on the arms of his command chair aboard the Spectre. His crew had drilled this moment countless times, but this was real. Through the viewscreen, he could see the crystalline hull of an Artaxian heavy cruiser less than 5 kilometers away, its crew completely unaware of their presence. 3, 2, 1, mark. The quantum cloaking fields dropped simultaneously across hundreds of Earth vessels. The effect was like a curtain being pulled away from reality itself. Where there had been empty space, now stood humanity's true fleet, their weapons already locked on target. All ships, weapons free, Chen ordered. Execute with precision. The first volley caught the Artaxians completely off guard. Earth's ships had been positioned to target the most crucial systems: engines, shield generators, and command nodes. The new phase-shifted energy weapons, developed alongside the cloaking technology, bypassed the aliens' legendary defensive screens as if they weren't there. Aboard the Spectre, Okanjo watched as his ship's targeting systems found their mark. Direct hit on their primary power core, his tactical officer reported. Target is going dark. The Artaxian response was chaotic. Their ships tried to regroup, to form defensive clusters, but Earth's fleet had been positioned specifically to prevent this. Every attempted maneuver only drove them further into carefully prepared kill zones. Grand Marshal Vextera. Admiral Chen transmitted on an open channel. Your fleet is surrounded and outgunned. You're losing ships by the minute. Surrender now, and we can avoid further bloodshed. The response came in the form of a massive energy surge from the Artaxian flagship. A new weapon type, previously unknown to Earth intelligence, began charging. The crystalline hull of the massive vessel started to glow with an inner light. All ships, execute maneuver Theta, Chen commanded. They're preparing something big. The human fleet moved with practiced precision, shifting positions even as they maintained their encirclement. The timing proved perfect. A massive energy wave erupted from the Artaxian flagship, passing through the space the Earth ships had occupied seconds before. Analysis of that weapon, Chen demanded. Some kind of space-time disruption, Elena Santos reported from her station. If it had hit us, it would have forced our ships back into normal phase, making the cloaking technology useless. Chen's expression hardened. They've been preparing for something like this. They just didn't expect us to be ready first. All ships, initiate Stage 2. Throughout the battle zone, smaller craft began launching from Earth's capital ships. These were the Wraiths, single-pilot vessels equipped with both quantum cloaking and the most advanced AI systems humanity had ever developed. They darted between the larger ships, their enhanced maneuverability making them almost impossible to track. Wraith squadrons, target their command and control nodes, Chen ordered. Time to show them everything we've got. The smaller ships performed impossibly tight maneuvers, exploiting gaps in the Artaxian formation that their larger ships couldn't reach. Their precision strikes disrupted the aliens' coordinated defense, turning their fleet into isolated pockets of resistance. On the bridge of the Spectre, Okanjo received new targeting data. "Ma'am, we're detecting power fluctuations in their flagship's shield grid. They're trying to adapt to our weapons. They learn fast," Chen acknowledged. "But we planned for this too. Execute Protocol Hydra." The human fleet's weapons suddenly shifted frequency, changing their attack pattern in a way that the Artaxian shields couldn't predict. More alien ships went dark, their crystalline hulls cracking under the precise bombardment. Elena's voice came over the command channel. "Admiral, we're detecting unusual energy readings from several of their larger ships. They might be preparing to self-destruct." "Not on my watch," Chen responded. "Deploy the quantum anchors." This was another surprise. Devices that could lock a ship in normal space, preventing any attempt at faster-than-light travel or self-destruction. The remaining Artaxian vessels found themselves truly trapped, unable to either fight effectively or escape. After 3 hours of intense combat, the outcome was no longer in doubt. The mighty Artaxian invasion fleet had been reduced to scattered groups of damaged ships, their sophisticated technology rendered ineffective by humanity's carefully planned counterattack. "Grand Marshal," Chen transmitted again, "look at your tactical display. You have lost over 60% of your fleet. The rest are either disabled or surrounded. We can continue this battle, but I don't believe that's in either of our interests." There was a long pause before the response came. When it did, the usual harmonics of Vexterra's voice were subdued. Perhaps we should discuss those terms now." As the human fleet maintained their positions, ready for any last-minute treachery, Admiral Chen allowed herself a small smile. The battle was won, but she knew this was just the beginning. Humanity had announced its presence on the galactic stage in dramatic fashion. The real challenge would be what came next. While the space battle had ended in humanity's favor, the war was far from over. Deep within a secure facility beneath Vancouver, Major Sophia Patel stared at the holographic evidence before her with growing concern. The quantum signature analysis was undeniable. There were Artaxian agents hidden on Earth. "How many?" General Chen demanded, his hologram flickering slightly as it projected into the underground command center. "At least 12 distinct signatures," Sophia replied, manipulating the display to show detection sites across the globe. "They're using some kind of biological camouflage. They look human, but their quantum resonance patterns match Artaxian biology." The implications were chilling. While humanity had been preparing its space-based trap, the Artaxians had already infiltrated Earth. The timing couldn't be worse. If these agents managed to transmit what they'd learned about Earth's true capabilities to their homeworld, the advantage of surprise would be lost forever. "Do we know their objective?" Elena Santos asked, her own hologram joining the conference from her lunar laboratory. "Based on their movements, they're trying to reach something," Sophia explained. "An old radio telescope array in the Australian outback. It's been abandoned for decades, but its dish is large enough to send a focused transmission that could reach Artaxian space." "How long do we have?" The array would need significant modifications to handle their transmission protocols. Our models suggest 12 hours before they could get it operational. General Chen's expression hardened. Then we have 11 hours to stop them. Major Patel, this is your operation. I'm giving you command of Shadow Team. Sophia nodded grimly. Shadow Team was the product of a different kind of human innovation. Not technological, but biological. They were soldiers enhanced through targeted genetic engineering and advanced cybernetics, designed to operate in situations where even the most advanced technology might fail. Within the hour, Sophia and her team were aboard a hypersonic transport, streaking across the Pacific at Mach 8. Her 5 team members were the best Earth had to offer, each one modified to push the boundaries of human capability. The Artaxians won't be expecting us, she briefed her team. Their intelligence suggests humans are incapable of detecting their biological camouflage. That's our advantage. Lieutenant David Corey, the team's infiltration specialist, checked his adaptive camouflage suit. What about their tech? Everything we've seen suggests they're still ahead of us in most areas. Most areas, Sophia agreed, but not all. Dr. Santos sent us a gift. She opened a secure case, revealing what looked like standard combat rifles. These weapons are tuned to Artaxian quantum signatures. One hit will disrupt their camouflage fields and lock them in their true form. No shields, no escape. As they approached the drop zone, satellite imagery showed movement at the radio telescope facility. The Artaxian agents had already begun their work, bringing in equipment disguised as standard research materials. Remember, Sophia told her team as they prepared to halo jump from the edge of space, we need at least one of them alive. We have to know what they know. The drop was perfectly executed, Shadow Team's enhanced bodies handling the extreme conditions with ease. They landed silently 2 kilometers from the target, their adaptive camouflage rendering them nearly invisible in the Australian night. 6 signatures inside the main control building, reported Lieutenant Sarah Jo, their sensor specialist. 4 more at the dish itself, 2 patrolling the perimeter. Sophia processed the tactical data flowing through her neural interface. They're not just technicians. Those movement patterns are military. These are their elite. The team split into 3 groups, approaching from different angles. Sophia led the main assault team toward the control building, while the others moved to neutralize the perimeter guards and the dish team. The first engagement was swift and silent. The patrolling Artaxians never saw Shadow Team coming. The quantum-tuned weapons worked exactly as designed, one shot, and the aliens' human disguises melted away, revealing their true crystalline-based forms. Control building, breach in 3, Sophia subvocalized through their secure comm system. Maximum precision. We need intel. The breach was textbook perfect. Enhanced reflexes and augmented senses allowed Shadow Team to clear the building in seconds. The Artaxian agents, caught completely by surprise, found their advanced technology useless against weapons specifically designed to counter them. Last one's cornered in the transmitter room, Corey reported. He's got something. Looks like a data core. Sophia moved quickly to the location. The final Artaxian agent had dropped his human disguise, his crystalline form pulsing with internal light. In his hands was indeed a data core, likely containing everything their infiltrators had learned about Earth's defenses. It's over, Sophia said in perfect Artaxian, her enhanced vocal cords reproducing their complex harmonics. Surrender, and you'll be treated fairly. The aliens' response was to reach for what looked like a self-destruct device, but Shadow Team's enhanced speed meant they were already moving. Joe's shot hit the device, shattering it, while Sophia closed the distance in a blur of motion, subduing the agent with a precisely calculated strike. Command, this is Shadow Lead, Sophia reported. Sites secured. All hostiles neutralized. 1 prisoner for interrogation, and we've recovered what appears to be their primary data core. Well done, Major, General Chen responded. Get everything back to Vancouver. We need to know what they know. And more importantly, what they were really here to find. As her team secured the site and their prisoner, Sophia couldn't shake the feeling that they'd only scratched the surface. The Artaxians had gone to too much trouble, risked too many elite agents, for this to be just about gathering intelligence. There had to be something more. The data core they'd recovered would hopefully provide answers. But as she looked at their captive Artaxian, its crystalline form reflecting the Australian moonlight, she wondered if they were ready for what those answers might reveal. The secured conference room, deep beneath Vancouver, hummed with tension as Dr. Elena Santos decoded the last fragments of data from the recovered Artaxian core. Her hands froze over the holographic interface as the final pieces fell into place. "This can't be right," she whispered, but the data was undeniable. Admiral Sarah Chen, who had returned to Earth after securing the surrender of the Artaxian fleet, leaned forward. "What did you find?" "They didn't come here to conquer us," Elena explained, bringing up a complex series of star charts and energy readings. "They came here because they're running from something that terrifies them." The data revealed a devastating truth. The Artaxians' campaign of conquest had been driven by desperation. They weren't expanding their empire. They were searching for allies capable of helping them fight a threat from beyond the galactic rim. That's why they sent infiltrators, Major Sophia Patel realized. They weren't just gathering intelligence. They were testing us. "Testing us for what?" General Chen demanded. The answer came from an unexpected source. The captured Artaxian agent, who had remained silent through days of questioning, finally spoke. "For worthiness," it said in perfect English, its crystalline form pulsing with each word. "We needed to know if you could adapt, if you could innovate, if you could survive." Admiral Chen's eyes narrowed. Survive what? The holographic displays suddenly came alive with new data, vast energy signatures approaching from intergalactic space. The Artaxian's voice carried a note of genuine fear. "They have no name in your language. We call them the Void Hunters. They consume entire civilizations, strip planets of all technology and life. They've already taken 3 galaxies. Ours is next. And that's why you've been conquering worlds." Sophia asked. "Building an army. Building an alliance," the Artaxian corrected. "But most species we encountered were too primitive or too rigid in their thinking. Then we found Earth. Its crystalline form shifted, creating patterns that Elena recognized as expressions of respect. You didn't just defeat us. You surprised us. No species has ever developed quantum cloaking technology independently. Your ability to innovate, to think laterally, it's exactly what's needed." Admiral Chen processed this information with practiced efficiency. "How long do we have?" 2 years, perhaps 3. The Void Hunters move slowly between galaxies, but they are relentless. The implications were staggering. Humanity had just proved itself on the galactic stage, but now faced a threat that dwarfed anything they had imagined. The room fell silent as the weight of this revelation settled over them. It was Elena who spoke first. "The quantum cloaking technology, it could be modified. If we combined it with Artaxian crystal tech, created a large enough field, we could hide entire planets," the Artaxian finished, its form brightening with excitement. "Your understanding of quantum mechanics paired with our energy manipulation capabilities." Admiral Chen raised her hand, silencing the technical discussion. "Before we go any further, we need to address the immediate situation. Your fleet is still in our custody. Grand Marshal Vexterra is awaiting trial for war crimes, and Earth's population doesn't know any of this." "Then tell them," the Artaxian said simply. "Show them what we've shown you. Your species excels at coming together in the face of external threats. You've proved that throughout your history. Over the next few weeks, the truth was carefully revealed to Earth's population. The initial anger at the Artaxian invasion transformed into determined focus as humanity faced this new challenge. The captured fleet was repurposed, its crews working alongside human scientists to combine their technologies in ways neither species had imagined possible. 6 months later, Admiral Chen stood on the observation deck of the newly commissioned Earth Defense Station Unity, watching as human and Artaxian ships conducted joint maneuvers near Jupiter. The former enemies now moved in perfect coordination, their combined technologies creating defensive capabilities that would have seemed impossible a year ago. The first integrated fleet will be ready ahead of schedule, General Chen reported, joining his daughter at the viewport. The outer colonies are already implementing the new planetary shields. And the other species? Sarah asked. The ones the Artaxians conquered. Most have joined the alliance once they understood the truth. Those that refused, he shrugged. They'll be protected anyway. It's what we do. Elena's voice came over the comm system, excitement evident in her tone. Admiral, you need to see this. The new quantum matrix tests. We've achieved something unprecedented. In her lunar laboratory, Elena and her mixed team of human and Artaxian scientists had created something that defied conventional physics, a quantum shield that could theoretically protect an entire star system, powered by the combined knowledge of both civilizations. As humanity prepared for the greatest challenge in its history, a truth became clear. The Artaxian invasion, despite its violent nature, had given Earth exactly what it needed: the technology, knowledge, and galactic awareness required to face an existential threat. The Void Hunters would find something very different from what they expected. Not isolated civilizations fighting among themselves, but a united front of species led by the innovative spirit of humanity and the technological mastery of the Artaxians. Admiral Chen smiled as another group of ships emerged from quantum space, representatives from 3 more species, coming to join the alliance. Humanity's first steps into the galactic community might have been forced, but they would face whatever came next together. The silent contingency, humanity's hidden strength, had not just saved Earth. It had helped forge the first true interstellar alliance, united not by conquest, but by the need to survive, to innovate, and to protect all sentient life from the darkness between the stars.